Welcome to the Ohio State Legal Services Association's Family Law Video Project. This video was made possible through the generous support of the Ohio Legal Assistance Foundation, and the content was created by Southeastern Ohio Legal Services and the Legal Aid Society of Columbus. The video you are about to watch will guide you through some of the forms that you will need to file in Ohio courts when you want a divorce or you need to respond to a divorce your husband or wife filed. The information we provide is not legal advice and does not create a lawyer-client relationship with you. We cannot guarantee any specific outcome in your case, and we are not responsible for any errors on your form. You should hire a lawyer if you can afford one, especially if your divorce case is complicated. This may mean that you and your spouse do not agree on custody of your children, you own real estate, you have a lot of property to divide, you or your spouse have retirement accounts, your spouse hired a lawyer, or if one spouse has a much higher income than the other spouse. If you need a lawyer or specific advice about your case, you have several options. If you are low income, you can contact your local legal aid program. If you need information about which legal aid covers your community, call the following number. Many communities also have pro bono clinics where low-income people can talk to a volunteer lawyer. Your local legal aid program will have a list of clinics near you. Finally, if you can afford a lawyer, you should reach out to your local bar association for a lawyer referral. The forms you will be completing can all be found online on the Ohio Supreme Court website here. The forms available online may be completed in Microsoft Word or PDF form on a computer. If you are not able to complete them on a computer, you can handwrite the forms. Be sure to print as clearly as possible and always use a pen. Some courts require you to use a pen with blue ink or black ink, so you may want to check with your local clerk of courts on ink requirements before you fill out the forms. Note that just because the Supreme Court is providing these forms, you will be filing them in your local courts, not the Supreme Court. This is not the only form you will need to complete. At the end of this video, you will see a list of forms that you will need to fill out if you are filing a divorce or if you are responding to a divorce complaint. If you complete and file the Supreme Court forms listed, that should be enough to get your divorce case started or respond to a divorce complaint. However, your local court may require you to also complete additional forms. Keep in mind that you might be watching each video more than once, as sometimes you will need to gather additional information that you don't have on hand during the first attempt.
This video will cover how to complete two different forms, the Answer to Complaint for Divorce with Children form and the Answer to Complaint for Divorce without Children form. You should choose the correct form for your situation. If you are served with a complaint for divorce or a counterclaim for divorce, you should talk to an attorney about when to file your answer with the clerk of court and when to serve your answer to the plaintiff. Be advised that there are deadlines for filing and serving your answer. At the top of the first page, you should see the phrase "in the Court of Common Pleas." On the second line, write in the name of the county where the divorce complaint was filed. Next, fill in the names of the plaintiff and the defendant. The person filing for divorce is the plaintiff and the other spouse is the defendant. After the complaint is filed, the plaintiff and defendant should be the same on all forms filed in the case. Write your current address on the lines below your name. If you do not want your spouse to know your current address due to safety concerns, you should talk to an attorney. Review the information at the beginning of this video on how to find a lawyer or legal clinic. Write your spouse's current address on the lines below his or her name. You should be able to find it on the complaint form. Next, directly below the court name and county, and to the right, write the case number on the line that starts case number. Use the case number on the complaint. If there is a judge's name or magistrate's name listed on the complaint, write those names on the lines under the case number. If the judge and magistrate's names are not listed on the complaint, it's okay to leave these lines blank. In the middle of the first page, check the box if this is an answer to a complaint for divorce with children, or check the box for reply to counterclaim. In Section 1, write your name after I. Next, check the appropriate box to admit or deny each of the statements your spouse made in his or her complaint for divorce. Check only one box for each statement. If you agree with the statement in the complaint for divorce, check the admit box. For instance, if you agree that your spouse's state of residence is Ohio, check Admit. If you disagree with all or part of a statement in the complaint for divorce, check the box for Deny. For example, if you believe the date of marriage your spouse listed in the complaint is wrong, check the box for Deny. You do not need to explain why you are omitting or denying any of the statements. If you are not sure if one of the statements your spouse made in the complaint for divorce is true, you should deny the statement. For instance, if you don't remember the name of the city where you got married, but your spouse listed a city, you can deny the statement and resolve that issue later. In Section 2, check the appropriate box to admit or deny each of the grounds for divorce your spouse checked in his or her complaint for divorce. Check only one box for each statement. You only need to check admit or deny for the grounds your spouse checked off in the complaint. Ignore the other grounds. In Section 4, you can provide other information about the statements you admitted or denied, but you do not need to include any information here. In fact, it may be best to leave this section blank. Remember, your answer is meant to protect your right to present your case later, not to argue your case. After Section 4, you should check a box if you want the divorce to be dismissed, meaning you don't want to divorce your spouse, or granted, meaning you want a divorce. Sign on the line and print or type your name below. You will also need to list your current address and a phone number. Remember that if you don't want your spouse to know your current address or phone number due to safety concerns, you should talk to an attorney. On the last page, you will need to complete the certificate of service. You not only need to file this document with the clerk of court, but you also must serve your spouse with a copy, which means you need to send a copy to your spouse's attorney or your spouse directly if he or she does not have an attorney. Talk to a lawyer about deadlines for filing and service. Follow the instructions to complete the information about the date you are sending the document, the name of your spouse's attorney and the attorney's address, or your spouse's name and address if he or she doesn't have an attorney. Check one of the boxes for how the document is being delivered. Sending it by U.S. mail is usually the best. Sign your name at the end of the certificate of service section.
You have reached the end of this video. Remember that if you still have questions about how to fill out the forms for your specific situation, you should talk to a lawyer. If you need a lawyer or specific advice about your case, you have several options. If you are low income, you can contact your local legal aid program. If you need information about which legal aid covers your community, call the following number. Many communities also have pro bono clinics where low-income people can talk to a volunteer lawyer. Your local legal aid program will have a list of clinics near you. Finally, if you can afford a lawyer, you should reach out to your local bar association for a lawyer referral. Remember that this is not the only form you will need. Here is a list of the forms you will need if you are filing a divorce or if you are defending or responding to a divorce. If you complete your forms and wait a period of time before you file the forms, it is your responsibility to check the Supreme Court website to make sure that there were no changes to the forms since you first completed them.